This is the Turn Autism Around podcast, episode number 235. I'm your host, Dr. Mary Barbera, and today we are talking all about toys. And whether you're a parent or professional, I'm sure you've got loads of toys, loads of missing parts, have kids who probably have poor play skills, and we're addressing all that today. Kelsey and I are both on the show. We are showing toys, but even if you're listening, it's really not about the toys. It's about the procedure you use. And towards the end of the show, Kelsey shows me some toys that I literally have never seen before that she uses all the time. So you're going to want to stay till the end. And also we have something brand new. We have a survey to figure out what you need. And then we will let you know if we have anything in our program, services, courses that might help you. So if you go to marybarbera.com/help, you can fill out a 5-minute survey and we will get in touch with you and let you know if there's something specific that might help you and your child or clients get to the next level. So let's get to this really great episode on autism and toys. Hey guys, it's Mary Barbera here with Kelsey General, my sidekick for the Turn Autism Around podcast. And we are getting ready to give you lots of information about various toys that you can use. We have a lot of toys around us. We're going to do a little bit of show and tell. We are streaming live, so we're going to be doing the whole podcast here with you guys in the background. And then after we conclude the podcast, we will answer any of your questions, specifically around toys. If you have questions around toys in the middle of it, you can ask that too. Maybe we'll get to weave that in. So we just started to do some lives when we're podcast recording. So this is a little complicated because we got a lot of stuff to show too. And so it may not be as organized as our last one we tried. So is anybody here, Kelsey, that
it looked like there was a few people watching, but I didn't see any comments yet.
Right. If you're here and you want to tell us who you are and where you're viewing from, and if you have any burning questions about toys, let us know that too.
Yeah, no one in the comments yet, but there are people watching and it is working.
Okay, cool.
That's the main concern.
Always good to know. Let me just pull it up on my phone as well. Okay. It's bright and early for Kelsey, but I'm on the East Coast and I feel like it's early for me too. All right, Rachel's here. She said good morning. Hey, Rachel. Okay. Are we ready to get rolling? As I said before, for those of you joining, just let us know in the comments if you have questions, but we're going to probably go, 20-30 minutes of our podcast without really giving you much attention, but at the end, we will certainly answer any questions. Okay, so we have somebody from London and they have a 4-year-old with autism. Great. Okay. We are going to rock and roll. Okay, Kelsey, today we are talking all about toys for kids with autism and toddlers showing signs. And I know you and I both gathered some toys together, so we're surrounded by toys. Hopefully we won't be too loud in the microphone. So thanks for joining me today, Kelsey, and gathering your toys.
Yes, thanks for having me. It's going to be a fun episode. Some of these toys I haven't pulled out in a while.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so for those of you listening to the podcast and not watching it, this may be a good one to actually watch. You can always watch the podcast on my website. This is going to be episode 235. So marybarbera.com/235. If you want to see what we're doing, but we're going to try hard to make it interesting, even if you're driving in a car or running or whatever you're doing while you're listening. We're going to know that you can go to that link and you can find in the show notes what these toys look like and how to buy them. But it's not specifically about which toy to buy. It's which type of toy to buy and what to focus on is really what we're getting at here. So don't get too concerned that we're going to give you this whole list of things to buy, because it really isn't about buying new toys. It's about using the right toys, depending on your child or client's abilities. So that's the first point I want to make is when you say, what toys should I get? I have a 4-year-old, or I have a 8-year-old, or I have a 2-year-old with autism. We need to look at not their chronological or real age. We need to look at their language ability and their developmental age. So that's usually a lot lower. I know for my son, Lucas, when he was 3 years old, he got scores that he was like in the 9 to 12 month level for expressive language, and maybe the 12 to 18 month level for receptive language. And those scores are kind of jarring, when you get scores like that, even for older kids who are still scoring in the younger range. It kind of is disheartening, but we need to, eyes wide open, and we need to pick skills, pick toys that are appropriate given their developmental or language ability. So when you are, 9 to 18 month level, think about those kind of toys. So a lot of the toys we're going to show are kind of baby toys. They're infant and toddler toys, maybe preschooler toys. And we can't expect kids to have pretend play skills, sharing abilities, turn-taking abilities like board games until they can talk or communicate, they can follow directions, they can touch body parts. There's so much language and joint attention. And so a lot of times we need to start with, we always want to start with an assessment, no matter what skill we're talking about. And lucky for you all is that I created last year in 2022, I created a digital assessment that's 10 minutes long that will give you scores in 3 areas. We'll give you scores in self-care and daily activities like eating, sleeping, grooming, dressing. And they'll give you scores in language and learning skills. A little tiny piece of the language and learning skills is social skills and imitation and things like that, which are super important, as is language. I think people underestimate the importance of language when we're talking about social skills or play skills. And then the third score you get when you take the digital assessment is problem behaviors, which can often be in the mix when we're talking about trying to have kids play with toys. They might have problem behaviors because they might want to play with toys a certain way. They might not want to share. They might not have any interest. They might have interest in the baby toys, but not the toys that are appropriate to their age. So all in all, play and toys and social skills are just one piece of this whole big, circular situation we have going on. So cause and effect toys are really where we want to start. Kelsey, do you have anything to add about what I just said?
Yeah, for the assessment piece, in addition to doing the digital assessment, which you should absolutely do, one of my favorite ways to assess toys is kind of following a child and see what they're doing when you're not, trying to play with them. Maybe they're doing a lot of dumping things, then we might get toys where we could dump. They might be doing a lot of taking apart or putting together. And so we might get toys like that. we also, when we do give them a new toy, say we just give them this and no parts, and maybe they start taking it apart, we would know when we introduce this toy, okay, maybe part of our play with this is going to be first putting it together before we put a ball down it. And so a lot of watching with toy play, just to see what's reinforcing to the child before we jump too far into, this is how you play with the toy and you must play with it this way. Because the most important thing to remember is play is supposed to be enjoyable.
Right. Now that's an excellent point. And also to along the same lines is to have a couple different toys out and see which one they pick, because I recently did a keynote presentation in Minnesota for Finding Cooper's Voice, and I did 10 lessons, 10 key lessons, and my number one lesson was choices lead to happiness. And so if you have, this toy versus this toy, and the child even reaches for toy A or toy B, that's a preference. That's beginning a preference assessment. And so it's a really good thing to do. If you go into a doctor's office, well, they probably don't have any toys out in doctor's offices anymore, but when my kids were little, they did. Post-COVID, they probably locked all that down. But if you go into, a playroom, whether it's at somebody's house or in an office, you can also see what kind of toys really are best to start with. But the thing that we really want to start with almost always, if it's a child with very little language, we have more assessments in our online courses, like a language sample and videos, and assessing if they're at daycare or preschool or what the expectations are. I mean, there's more to it, but I think the number one type of toys we are promoting in our courses is cause and effect toys to start, because even little kids, and I should have looked up the age when cause and effect really start, but it's before age 1, where, like putting things in and they disappear, making balls go down a ramp, making, things kind of disappear, is really where most play with toys starts. So let's talk about cause and effect toys. Kelsey, do you have a cause and effect toy there that you can show and tell?
Yeah, I do. Let's do the hammer and balls. Where's my hammer now? Here it is. So the one thing with cause and effect toys that I also like is they have a purpose. Giving kids who don't necessarily have the skills or imitation skills yet to copy you or to model what you're doing with toys, they may not have any idea. So when there's a purpose and there's this repetitive motion, that's a lot easier to learn. So this is called Ball Boat. You can get the same thing in the store with just balls and a hammer and ball toy if you search it on Google. And basically, I'm holding a hammer and I have some balls in my hand. I hit the ball, it disappears, it goes down a little ramp, and out it comes. And that's a lot of fun. There's normally 4 balls if you haven't lost them. And you hit it again and just keep going. We can pair up language with cause and effect toys easily, and we'll probably get into more of that later. But ball, 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 we put it back in. Ball, and we put it back in. And then we have our hammer and we can say, oh, hit it. And it's just really basic. So that's one example of a cause and effect toy. Other thing, even for really young kids, even though this is an older toy, is you can play a form of peekaboo, because that's a really young baby game, but it's a cause and effect game, kind of like a Jack in the Box, where you hide things and you go, oh, knock, knock, open, it's a cow, and then we play peekaboo type thing. So anything where there's something, there's an action where we can be excited, and then there's a product can help kids, and then we can also build requesting from that if they want more of it.
Right, right. So a lot of people, when they think of toys and play and social skills, they think natural environment. This should just happen by, osmosis, and we buy a toy farm and a toy kitchen, and everything should it should just be natural. But for a lot of kids with autism, they really need to build joint attention skills, cooperation skills, language skills, and requesting or manding skills before they can do any kind of play with toys, appropriate play with toys. Kids tend to, with autism, and I know I'm generalizing here, but kids with autism who don't have language skills or a lot of language skills, we're talking about kids who don't talk, who talk in short phrases, or maybe even they're talking, in little sentences, but they're, on certain subjects, very rote. Those kids, and that's a wide range of kids in terms of age and ability level, even within for those parameters. These kids really need, in my opinion, a lot of table time, a lot of instructor time, whether that's a parent sitting down with a child at a table or on the floor, especially if you've got a bigger toy, like we have, big toys that you sit on the floor, but toys with parts are really important when you're talking about trying to pair the toys, trying to get the child requesting. One of my favorite toys to use at the table is Mr. Potato Head. I used to call him Mr. Potato Head, but now he's just Potato Head, he or she. And one of the reasons I really like Potato Head is we can keep all the parts. I have a big bin of parts. You can also keep them in a plastic baggie. All the parts should need to be kept together. This is not the kind of toy I would just have laying around a playroom for a child that, like I described, little to no language or talking in little phrases, but not, on age level, have the language ability of a 1 to 5 year old. Whether you're 2, whether you're 12, doesn't matter. If you have the language ability of a 1 to 5 year old, these kind of techniques will work. So the Potato Head, shoes are really easy, or feet are easy to say. You get that built. Then eyes, nose, mouth, teeth, those are all 1 syllable words, which we have covered a lot, is that kids really need to talk in very short syllable words. So we don't talk about length of utterance in terms of words. We talk in terms of syllable length within the words. We had Dr. Barbara Esch on the show recently, and she's the queen. She's an SLP MBCBID, and she's the queen of teaching me a lot of this stuff about syllables within words. So you want to start out, if a child's not talking or not talking well or having articulation problems, we want to start out with 1 to 2 syllable words. The other nice thing about Potato Head is ear. The sign for body parts is touching, the nose for the nose and the ear for the ear. And you can get some good cooperation. And not everybody's going to love Potato Head right from the start. So we're going to have to do a really good job of pairing this up. And I know once I built Potato Head with a child, and this isn't a fully built one, but let's just say he's fully built. He's got his hat and everything and his arms on. Then we might do things like jump. Oh, let's make him jump. Oh, he's tired. He's going to nap. We could cover him with a blanket. We can pretend to sleep ourselves. Oh, he's thirsty. Let's give Potato Head a drink. And make it fun, make it silly. Also have the child help you get the parts back in the bag. And this can be a really great, 15-minute little lesson about potato head, but it's got to be fun. It's got to be reinforcing. I know I've gone to clients' house in the past and they've been like, oh, she doesn't like potato head anymore. Well, we have to make her like potato head because potato head is super important. It's even important for older kids who aren't talking yet because labeling body parts, touching body parts is so important for telling a parent that they are in pain, for indicating what hurts. And that's a complicated process, but if a child doesn't know his body parts, can't touch them or label them, that's a big concern to me. So potato head is, I guess it's kind of a cause and effect toy, but that's a little bit of a stretch, I guess.
Yeah. One toy that is a cause and effect toy and a toy with parts is one of our favorites, coin pig. And coin pig can be done with no sound for kids who might not like it, and coin pig can be done with sound. And so you can pick. I don't even know if my turn's on. I might, but anyway, because when you push his nose, he plays songs too, so that can be fun to practice pointing.
I have a pig too.
Yeah, so that can be fun to practice pointing. But when you have lots of parts, so it's important when you're playing, you want to make the toy, and we're going to get into this. One of the ways to pair up a toy is to make the toy more fun with you than without you. Yeah. Because one thing with kids with autism or those showing signs is they often will find a way to play with this toy on their own. They might line up the coins, they might line up, and that's all fun and good. That's good to have safe things to do, but we want a lot of the main chunk of our toys to be interactive and to be more fun with a person than without. So right now I'm holding all the pieces. I don't just give the child 10 pieces and talk to them while they're playing with them. I have all the pieces and I give and I make silly noises, or I say or ah, and then I can give it to them. And then when you put the coin in, it disappears. And it's actually all in here. And so some kids like to shake it. Some kids just like to open the door and take it out. But there's lots of parts. So that makes this game long, and it also makes the child continue to look at you, continue to come to you. And the more we have interaction with the child, the more teaching we can do, even if it doesn't look like teaching. Any interaction we have with a child who tends to shy away potentially from interaction is good.
Yeah, totally. And I think the coin pig toy is one of the best. You can also pair for a child who's not saying anything, or maybe they're saying ah and ba or baba, mama. We can pair those coins and say mama or ma, ma, ma. Use the one word up to 3 times strategy, and then give the child the coin, whether they say anything or not, have them put it in and go back. So that would be, the coin pig. I would have that in a bin. I would have potato head and his parts either in the parts in a like a baggie or a bin. I would have toys that you're going to work on together with an adult in a big box or closet or a rolling cart with a bin on top. Because what you don't want to do is just have the child, like Kelsey said, play with it their own way, which is not functional. It's not language enriched, and there's no joint attention. And then we kind of have to repair it, and we don't want it to be a negative. We want the child to be introduced to these toys and then to practice with an adult or even an older sibling to make it more language enriched. I think the language enriched part is big. And plus we're constantly working on trying to get the child to imitate, which is such an important skill when we're talking about play and toys.
Yeah.
So to pair up table time and to pair up toys, because these things might be neutral. Like it might be fun to turn on those the pig music and stuff that might help pair it up. But like a toy like Potato Head, it's probably going to be pretty neutral. And so we have to be really careful the way we pair this up. But I think bubbles are great. I don't know if we consider bubbles a toy, but I would always have bubbles, always try to pair up bubbles. There's a lot of language enrichment. The child could learn to blow too. There's also like things like bubble guns and bubble wands and other bubble related things that you can buy or pair up. I think bubbles are a great idea. Another toy that is great for a table or pairing up or even a group activity is Play-Doh, and Play-Doh sets where you have, a rolling thing and some cookie cutter fish and a car, different color Play-Doh, scissors to cut the Play-Doh. I find that Play-Doh is an excellent toy.
Yeah, and a really cool thing about Play-Doh is you can get cookie cutters of all different shapes, like a car, a dog, and now you're pairing up, car and dog and these one syllable words again, and you can make it for the child, and that's super fun.
Yeah. So you also have like wind up toys there, Kelsey. You want to show
I do
that?
have some wind up toys. So the fun thing about wind up toys is they're quite hard for young kids to use, which meets our requirement of toys have to be more fun with you than without you, or unusable without you. So they need you. So that's a positive. And they're super fun. I could only find Halloween ones for some reason, so I have a little like zombie. If you can find ones like cat or car, or ones that the child can ask for on their own. I don't know what I would call this one, honestly, but
Monster.
And you just turn them, and I don't know if they'll work on my hand, but often they'll walk, they'll flip, they'll do lots of fun things, and then again, and then we can do it again, and it's a really good way. And since it's short on time, if we are working on other skills and using this as reinforcement, we never need to take the toy away. It just naturally stops, and then they need us again, and we're in a good teaching position. So wind up toys are so much fun. You can get them at the dollar store. You can get fancier ones online, but wind up toys are a ton of fun. Yeah.
So
one question we get a lot, Mary, and
What's
I don't know if one question we get a lot before you jump into another toy is, what if my child won't play with any toy, or won't engage, or cries when I try and play with them? Could that be a sign that maybe you're putting too many demands? Or
yeah. And I would just go back farther, like your point earlier, look for what they do. Like if they rock, if they stim with their hands in front of their face, so rocking, okay, we could get a rocking chair, we could rock them on a big exercise ball. Think about gross motor play too, like outside play, which we're not covering today, but physical kind of play, like row your boat while they're sitting in a chair, would mimic that rocking motion. And then say hands in front of their face visually, or lining things up. So visually, if they're putting their hands in front of their face, they might like those things where you turn them over and let I forget what they're called. Like
I have some, actually. I don't have them here, but they're like they're technically timers, and they flip them and all the colors kind of make things spin.
Yeah, like they might like that kind of thing. They might like, if they line things up, they might like puzzles that go in a certain order, like if they like letters. So I think when I hear my child doesn't want any reinforcement, doesn't like anything, I think we just have to assess a little bit better. We can start with, maybe Potato Head's not going to be reinforcing, but maybe they like, I remember this one child, I said, to the mom, she was like a very hard child to find reinforcers for, especially at the table. And I said, okay, take the table away, take any restrictions away. If you create a great day for her, where would you go? What would you do? And she's like, she loves roller coasters. And so it was like, well, we can't go to a roller coaster every day, but we Googled on YouTube and we found a bunch of roller coaster videos. So we could have an iPad or a computer at the table, or a TV with a remote on, and we could play YouTube videos on roller coasters. So, what does roller coasters have to do with Potato Head? Nothing, except for the roller coaster movie is really the reinforcer. And this building the Potato Head and everything is kind of work at this point. Eventually, we're going to pair it so much that the Potato Head becomes more reinforcing and a natural reinforcer. So I would say, if they don't want to play with any toys, we still need, I'm a big proponent of 5 reinforcers at the table or the work area. Don't just stick with one. And I think we recently started, we're finishing up, by the time this airs for the podcast, we'll have finished our first cohort of Train the Trainer. And we've watched videos, collected videos, done rubrics on the videos. And I'd say the number one thing missing from a lot of the videos is enough reinforcers at the table. And so I'm a big proponent on have bubbles, have the roller coaster on video, have wind up toys, have a couple of edibles, have a drink. We want to make this really fun, and we don't want to say anything is work. Even for academic work, we want learning to be fun, no matter if it's a toy or academic work.
Yeah, and I think that's a big mistake a lot of people make, is they think it's a toy, it's reinforcing, it's fun, and that might not be the case, but it doesn't mean it can't get there. A lot of kids with autism or those showing signs are quite rigid, and so a lot of the times it just takes exposure and a lot of introducing it and showing them that it can be fun. But in order to get there, you might have to keep their favorite show playing, or play their favorite songs, or blow bubbles while you're showing them.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about 2 more toys that I like at the table. Not the other toys, not necessarily at the table only, but inset puzzles are great. Animals, vehicles. I have shapes here. Keep all the parts in a baggie. We even have an organization system where we label the baggie puzzle 1, and then on the back of the puzzle we put a sticker with number 1, so that way we can go with number 1 puzzle and we can grab the bag in order. Be as organized as possible, because I don't know about you, I wasn't a behavior analyst when I was a mom to 2 little kids, and how many puzzles actually we had, all the parts, very few. It was always a mess. So really keep your puzzles, and puzzles need to be language enriched. So it's star, circle. Don't want to start with colors and shapes and numbers and letters necessarily, unless the child is very reinforced by these things. And you definitely want to be very careful with colors, because we don't want to teach it too early. So yeah, I like inset puzzles. Have a variety, have at least 5 inset puzzles. And you might say, oh, but my child already builds small jigsaw puzzles, so this is too babyish. Not so fast, because remember, everything we're doing is language enriched, is cooperative, is eventually maybe the jigsaw puzzles are independent free play, and these are more with an adult until the child can say, I mean, if the child can say, triangle and heart, and, maybe it is too babyish, but don't start with the premise that it's too babyish unless your child is talking
Yeah.
and talking pretty well.
Brentley is 9 now, and he still loves inset puzzles. We use them, we hide them. We've taught him prepositions with them, how to find the pieces. We've taught him, how to sort by category with puzzles. There's just so many ways you can use a good puzzle.
Yeah.
So it's one of the best things.
Yeah. And keep them organized so you don't lose the parts, because that's
Yeah.
Okay. And then another toy that I really like is a magna doodle. I have done a lot of work with, like, I draw a circle. And if I can pair circle, if I can get the child to say circle, that's awesome. And then I make eyes. So I say eyes, and then I draw the eyes. So I can draw smiley. This magna doodle has some stampers. So dot, 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 it's great for imitation, language enrichment. We can draw a house with a roof. We can do parts. We can have the child learn to draw, which is really a great skill. We can have letters, numbers. We can write the child's name. There's so many things we can do. We can say, Old MacDonald had a farm, and then draw E-I-E-I-O. So many things you can do with a magna doodle. So I do recommend a magna doodle too.
Yeah. One toy that I'll share that pretty much every kid I've worked with has loved, that we don't talk about that much because it's kind of an open-ended toy that maybe an older learner might play with, and older learners can, but they're magnet blocks. I like these ones that are full because they're easy to stack as towers and they don't fall down, and you're not necessarily building anything.
So they're like blocks.
They're blocks, but they're
like
magnet.
Thin things that can make into cubes, and
Yeah,
they're like Legos, but they're magnet.
Yeah, and they're really easy for kids who have fine motor issues. They just pop on.
Yeah.
And the fun thing is they also just break really easy. So we build a nice little tower that we can, put things in as well. Now this is a box. We can put our wind up toy in it.
Oh, nice.
Now he's stuck. And then you can just, I'm not going to crash it big because it'll make a noise, but you can crash it. Oh no, crash. Let's build it again. And kids like to line them up and just hold them. And so they're an older kid toy where you can pretend play, but you can also just click and swing them together. Yeah. And they're very visually stimulating for kids who like to put things in front of their faces, and you can crash with them or build a car around.
Awesome.
Yeah. I like the ones that are filled. You can get ones that just have magnets around the square and they are empty in the middle, but the ones that are full are much sturdier.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. So those are one of my favorites.
So let's move into real quick, how to get a child ready for more pretend kind of play. Yeah. So Kelsey's got a sink there that actually fills with water. And so the child could, wash the dishes and that sort of thing. And she's holding it up there, but you may want to talk, Kelsey, because I don't think.
Yeah. So I'm holding up the sink, which is basically just a box. And you put water in it and you can turn the faucet on and off. It works like a real faucet. It comes with cups and plates and stuff. So we can actually, one of the first pretend play skills that kids do developmentally is do a scene that happens in their everyday life, whether it's eating or drinking or dishes, because I'm sure they, see mom and dad or their caregivers doing dishes. Yeah. And the nice thing about this is it has water, just a little bit of water play. And one of the skills Mary's probably going to talk about now is when you're starting with pretend play, one of the most important skills is imitation. And so before jumping into something like that, what would they need to teach, Mary?
Well, and just being familiar with item names, like what is a plate or a spoon, because one of the most important skills, in addition to imitation is requesting. So we want to be building the skills to request a spoon, to request a drink, to label a cup, to ask for the red cup eventually versus the blue cup, and that sort of thing. So that's called a wash up kitchen. And who makes that? Just
If you
so,
watch it, I mean, this one's by Puzzle Toys, but if you just type pretend sink in on Google or
okay,
Amazon, I think a
yeah.
lot of
I
companies
saw-
make it.
I think I saw Loverly
Yeah.
has a sink like that too. So I think in preparation, like, yes, get a dollhouse, get a farm, but don't have it just laying around. Don't have the parts laying around for the child to chew on or to lose or to come up with some ritual that makes the toy just kind of not functional. So what I like to do at the table actually is those of you who have watched or listened to me in the past know I am a big fan of the table, and I'm also a big fan of a shoebox program, usually with a small slit into it. And for pictures of mommy, daddy, reinforcers. But you can also take a shoebox here. I have a shoebox here with a big hole in it, or an oatmeal container with a big hole in it. And then we can start to pair, I have an apple, a knife, and a plate, all pretend plasticky things. So I can pair the words apple, so a 3D item, and the child can put it in, cause and effect in the shoebox. Knife, and I probably should have spoon because that's what we're going to be giving a child first, not knife, but have a knife. So plate, you can do the same thing with your toy animals. Again, once they go in the box, and if that's going to be kind of what you're working on now, that's fine to keep them in a box, but just don't have them scatter. Here's a horse, a toy horse, a pig. Remember, 1 syllable, 2 syllable words are best. If I have a choice between a pig and I don't even know if this is a tiger or a jaguar. Like, we don't want to teach kids harder words before they go with really easy words. Dog, cat, pig, horse, cow. Those are all good words. Here's a little fake food, and it's like French fries, hamburger, popcorn, little drink cup. So when we think of, if you have these kind of things laying around, you may want to bag them up into bags, get a different shoebox, cut a bigger slit into it, or an oatmeal container, and start pairing that up. Not to say that we can't take the fake food over by your toy kitchen and also play with the child, pretend play. It's just usually from my experience now, we're working on 25 years since Lucas started to show signs of autism. So in my experience, kids need more than just a little, like, put everything out. Like, they're not going to learn social play skills, language skills without some direct teaching. And a lot of times that's going to involve many trials of saying the word pig, or many trials of, building potato head. It's not just going to be like you buy it and then everything happens. So I think that is a good point to make, is like, you don't have to go out and buy all this stuff. Look around your house, ask your neighbors or friends if they have, toddlers or preschoolers and they're getting rid of toys. Go to yard sales, the Goodwill around my house. I've gotten some really good things. Go on mommy's groups and free marketplace sites, and when in doubt, look for these kind of toys. It doesn't have to be exact. We've worked with people from over 100 countries in our online courses. So sometimes like they can't get potato head, or they can't get, okay, just use a magna doodle. Oh, you don't have a magna doodle, use a piece of paper, use the things that you have. And it should, we just don't want to expect a child to have pretend play, to have cooperative turn taking, to be able to play board games without these basic autism toy skills.
Yeah. And I would agree with that, Mary, and making sure you don't put too many demands on toys and do this, do this, do this, do this, and kind of see, one of the reasons I originally got magnet blocks is because Brentley loves to break things. He loves it. And it was a way, and that was one of his first things he imitated, was knocking things down. Like, he wouldn't imitate anything, I remember. And I remember being like, he'll never imitate, but he would knock things down. And so finding things that your child does and starting there with imitation or with all these skills, and finding toys that can fulfill the need of maybe something they're doing that you don't love.
Yeah.
Them doing.
Yeah.
So,
and we do have other shows. We have a video blog on imitation. We can link in the show notes. We have a previous show on social skills. So we can link a couple of those shows, but I don't think we're going to link each toy because we've showed so many toys. But also, when your point about the magnet blocks, they are similar to Legos. And like, if your child likes Legos, your child likes little Legos versus big Legos. You have to think about choking hazards and all that stuff. But Lego is one of the best toys for all ages, because they make big Lego and then multiple, building your own, which is a great skill. And one of my clients, he was only 6 or 7, and he was building Lego sets of a 12-year-old, you know what I mean? But he was very impaired language wise, but that's a great toy to pair up, make sure he's safe. And then that's a leisure activity. Also, Lucas does puzzles as a leisure activity, like jigsaw puzzles, 250, piece puzzles, 500 piece puzzles. And we actually, in my keynote presentation, I showed a picture of him doing a puzzle. And we got this idea from one of my cousins, not in the autism world, but Shutterfly and places that make photos. You can send in a photo and they make a jigsaw puzzle out of it. So that's a great idea too, for those leisure activities with toys. So it's a process. Over the years, your child or clients will change, and their interests will hopefully grow. And we're constantly looking for toys that we can engage with, and toys that they're safe, that they're happy with, that can become leisure activities.
Yeah, I think those are all really good points, and a good way to wrap up this episode on.
We thought it'd be short. It turns out to be one of our longer ones.
And actually, Mary, we do have some of these toys linked at marybarbera.com/materials.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we have some of those toys linked. Excellent. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up. Hopefully you all found that to be exciting. And for those of you that just listened, hopefully we described our toys enough. But if we didn't, hop on over marybarbera.com/235 to watch and to get all the resources. And I'll see you right here next week.